Good evening and welcome to the Skinner School Play in a Day. As might be given away slightly by the title, we have done a play in a day. The reason behind it, and I suppose the driving force behind it, is the fact that we were all feeling a little bit creatively stagnant and needed something exciting to happen. So here we go. This is what happened. We got together this morning and started rehearsals. So we did a read through and then rehearsed all day, and we are now ready to show you a finished product. The boys have worked really, really hard. So this is a cast of six formers, some drama students, some non-drama students, who have got together and been very focused all day. There have been laughs, there have been near tears, but it has been a very intense and very enjoyable ride. The play we have decided to do is 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men, written by Reginald Rose in the 1950s, was first a screenplay and later adapted to stage. So in that way, it was perfect for doing a performance based on Zoom. The first time for everything. It has been interesting, and we've had to think very carefully about how it's been staged and about the characters and how they come across. And things like ad-libbing have been very, very interesting to work with in a very different medium. The other reason that we like the play is because of the intensity in the dialogue, the characterizations, and the ideas and themes and messages that come across. Whilst we are now living in a very different time to the 1950s, prejudices are still prevalent in today's society, and it raises some really interesting questions. We hope you enjoy. Sit back, enjoy. We'll see you on the other side. I'm going to hand over to the boys.
And that concludes the court's explanation of the legal aspects of this case. And now, gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, connect, please, gentlemen.
My camera on.
Yes.
Excuse me briefly. Muted.
Good afternoon.
Muted as always. That's how it goes.
Okay, and we're back.
You know something? I checked my phone and this is the hottest day of the year. I almost dropped dead in that court.
Okay, gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, just ping me a message.
How'd you like it?
I don't know, it was pretty
I'm
interesting. I mean, I've never been on a jury before, you know. So,
Really?
Yeah.
I've sat on juries and it always amazes me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk. Even when the case is obvious as this one. I mean, you didn't hear so much talk about nothing.
Well, I guess they're entitled to it.
Well, sure, they're entitled. Everyone deserves a fair trial. That's the system. Listen, I'm the last to say anything against it. But I'm telling you, sometimes I think we're better off if we took these tough kids and slapped them down before they made any trouble. You know what I mean? Save some
Hey,
time.
how about getting started here?
Yeah, let's get this over with. We've probably got things to do.
Well, I was figuring we'd take a 5-minute break. I mean, the old man's away.
What do you think of the case? It had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots. Know what I mean? I'll tell you, we were lucky to get a murder case. I figured that's for a burglary or an assault or something. Those can be the dullest.
Goddamn waste of time.
Yeah, can you imagine sitting there for 3 days just for this?
And what about all that business with the knife? I mean, asking grown-up people to believe that kind of bullshit.
Oh, well, look, you got to expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Oh.
What's the matter with you? Got a cold?
How? Right, these hot weather colds can kill you. I can hardly touch my nose, know what I mean?
Oh, that's beautiful. The fan doesn't work.
Number 4, I didn't get a chance to look at the newspaper today. Anything new going on?
I was just wondering how the market's closed.
Nah, I wouldn't know. Say, you on the stock exchange or something?
Yeah, I'm a broker.
Really? I run my own messaging service, the Beacon Call Company. The name's my wife's idea. I employ 37 people. Started with nothing.
Hey, Mr. Foreman, let's go. What'd you say?
All right, gentlemen, let's start.
This better be fast. I've got tickets to the ball game tonight. Yankees, Cleveland. We've got this new kid pitching. Garrett Cole. Yeah, he's a ball, this kid. Will Jug handle. There must be some ball fans out there, right?
What was your impression of the prosecuting attorney?
I beg pardon?
I thought he was really sharp. I mean, the way he hammered home his points one by one in logical sequence, it takes a good brain to do that. I was very impressed.
Yes, I think he did an expert job.
I mean, he had a lot of drive too, real drive.
Okay, let's get this show on the road.
It's pretty tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bing, just like that.
Well, if you analyse the figures.
Oh, what figures? It's those people. I'm telling you, they let kids run wild up there. Well, you know, maybe it serves them right. Know what I mean?
Hey, number 5. You a Yankee fan?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Oh, that's like being hit on the head with a crowbar once a day. Listen, who they got? I'm asking you. Who they got besides great groundskeepers?
Excuse me, 9. We'd like to get started.
Milwaukee.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem. All right. Now, you gentlemen can handle this in any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to have any rules. If we want to discuss it first, then vote. That's one way. Or we can vote right now to see how we stand. Well, that's all I have to say.
Well, I think it's customary to have a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Like, who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Oh, I think so.
It's up to you. Just remember, we've got a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
Come on, let's vote.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Anyone doesn't want to vote? Well, okay, all right. This has to be 12-0 vote either way. That's the law. Okay, are we ready? All those voting guilty, raise your hands. Okay. 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty.
Come on.
1. Right.
Could have gone home.
Okay, 11-1 guilty. Well, now we know where we stand.
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
So, what do we do now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh boy.
Look, number 8, do you really think he's innocent? I don't know. I mean, let's be reasonable. You sat in court and heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer. He's 16 years old. Oh, that's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into his chest.
It's pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced from the first day.
Oh, who wasn't? I really think this is one of those open and shut things. They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you? No,
And what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 men here agree. Nobody had to think twice about it. Except you.
I want to ask you something. Do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what did you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it was easy for me?
No one.
What? Just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just that we're talking about someone's life here. I mean, we can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. Suppose this whole building fell on my head. You can suppose anything.
That's right.
What's the difference how long it takes? We honestly think he's guilty. So suppose we finish in 5 minutes. So what?
Let's take an hour. The ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
Okay, Slugger, be my guest.
Well, who's got something to say? Number 2, how about you?
Oh, no, not me.
I am willing to put in an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good story last night. This woman comes into the doctor's office stripped to
That's
the waist.
not what we're sitting here for.
All right, then you tell me. What are we sitting here for?
Maybe for no reason. I don't know. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. He spent 1.5 years in an orphanage while his father served a jail term for forgery. That's not a very good head start. He's had a pretty terrible 16 years. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think the trial cost? I mean, he's lucky he got it. Know what I mean? Look. We're all grown-ups here. We heard the facts, didn't we? Now, you're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe that kid knowing what he is. I mean, listen, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know what I mean? They're born liars.
It suddenly occurs to me that you must be a very ignorant man.
What do you mean? What's he talking about?
You think that you have a monopoly on the truth?
Oh, what are you making a federal case out of it for? How do you like this guy?
I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Hi, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Sermon in here.
Sure they would. Monopoly, for Christ's sakes.
Now, look. If we're going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts.
Right. We have a job to do. Let's do it. Maybe if the gentleman who's disagreeing down there could tell us why, tell us what he thinks, we could show him where he's probably mixed up.
You're a 12. What are you doing?
Okay. It's one of the products I work on at an ad agency. Rice Pops, the breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
Oh, wow.
Very catchy.
If you don't mind. Right.
I'm sorry, I have this habit of doodling. It keeps me thinking clearly.
Right. We are trying to get someplace here. You know, we can just sit here forever.
No.
Well, look,
please.
maybe this is an idea. I'm just thinking out loud, but it seems to me it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each took a minute or two, I mean, it's just a quick thought.
No. I think it's a good one. Supposing we go once round the meeting in order of jury numbers.
Anything. Let's just get started, shall we?
Okay. Number 2. That means you are first.
Oh, well, it's hard to kind of put it into words, but I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the get-go, you see. I mean, nobody proved otherwise, so...
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. You've heard of it?
Well, yeah, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant was that the man's guilty. I mean, somebody was sort of...
Now, here's what I think, and I have no personal feelings about it. I'm talking facts. Number 1. Let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard a loud noise in the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. After a minute or two, the kid shout, "I'm gonna kill you." And then a second later, he heard a body hit the floor, and he ran to his door of his apartment, looked out and saw the kid running down the stairs out of their house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. I mean, there are facts for you. You can't refute facts. The boy is guilty. Look, I'm as sentimental as the next guy. I know the kid's only 16. He's still got to pay for what he did.
I'm with you, Pops.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious to me anyway that that boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember what films he saw or who played in them.
That's right. Did you hear that? That's absolutely right.
I mean, no one even saw him going into or out of the theatre.
Yeah, and listen, what about that woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She was the one who actually saw the killing.
Let's go in order here. Come on.
Just a minute. Here's a woman. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. She's dying with the heat, know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window and right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. The time is 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Look, she's known the kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Right. The L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. The lights are out, remember? They proved it in court. That at night you can look through the windows of an L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Oh, you're a pretty smart fellow, aren't you?
Hey, let's take it easy.
What's he so wise about? I'm telling you.
Come
I
on.
swear.
You're letting him get you all upset for.
Right, let's calm down. Let's try to keep it peaceful in here. Okay, whose turn is it? Okay, how about you, number 5?
I'll pass it.
Well, that's your privilege. How about the next gentleman?
Oh, I don't know. I started to be convinced. We're very early in the case. Well, I was looking for a motive. It's very important. There's no motive. There's no case. So anyway, that testimony from those people across the hall, from the kid's apartment, was very powerful. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock? I mean, I could be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and finally they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
You said it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. Well, I don't think it's a very strong motive. This boy's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I don't think a couple slaps in the face would provoke him into committing murder.
Well, it may have been 2 slaps too many.
Anything else?
Everyone has a breaking point.
Okay. How about the next gentleman?
Me? I don't know. It's practically already said. We can talk about it forever. I mean, this kid is 0 for 5. Look at his record. He was in a children's court when he was 10 for throwing rocks at his teacher. At 14, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for trying to slash another teenager with a knife. He's real quick with switch knives, they said. This is a fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I. A kid like that.
Oh my.
Well, wouldn't you call those beatings a motive for him to kill his father?
I don't know. It's a motive for him to be an angry kid. I'll say that.
It's the kids, the way they are nowadays, angry, hostile. You can't do a damn thing with them, just the way they talk. Listen, when I was his age, I used to call my father Sir. That's right, Sir. You never hear a boy call his father Sir anymore, do you?
Fathers don't seem to think that's important anymore.
No? You got any kids?
2.
Yeah, well, I've got one. He's 20. We did everything for that boy, and what happened? When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. I saw it. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. So I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you in half trying. I made a man out of him, all right. When he was 16, we had a battle. He hit me in the face. He's big, you know.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen him in 2 years. Rotten kid. Heart out for him. All right, let's get on with it.
Yeah, look, I think we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that, can we? So we're here to decide whether he's guilty or innocent of murder, not to go into the reasons why he grew up this way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know that. So do you all. It's no secret. Criminals from children from slum backgrounds are, potential menaces to society. Now,
Brother, you can say that again. The kids you call out of those places are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
I've lived in a slum all my life. I nurse that trash in Harlem 6 nights a week.
Oh, wait a second!
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells of
Oh,
me.
now listen, buddy!
Now, let's be reasonable. Wait, there's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on now, you fella. Let's not be so sensitive.
It's sensitivity, I understand.
Thank you.
All right. Let's stop this arguing. We're wasting time here. Number 8, it's your turn. Right, let's go.
Well, I didn't expect a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the idea?
Oh, check. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, well, what's the difference? He's the one who's keeping us here. Let's see what he's got to say.
Now, just a second. We decided to do it a certain way. Let's stick to what we said.
Ah, stop being a kid, will you?
A kid? Listen to me. What do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? K-I-D, kid.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep this organised? Listen, you want to do it? Here. You take the responsibility. I'll just shut up. That's all.
Oh, yeah, listen, what are you getting so hot about? Calm down, will you?
Don't tell me to calm down. Here. You keep it going smooth and everything. What do you think is a snap? Go on, Mr. Foreman. Let's see how great you run the show.
Juror 11, do you ever see such a thing?
Do you think it's funny or something?
Take it easy. The whole thing's unimportant.
Unimportant? You want to try it?
No, listen, you're doing a beautiful job. Nobody wants to change.
Yeah, you're doing great. Hang in there and pitch.
All right, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you want me to tell you how I feel about it right now, it's all right with me.
I don't care what you do.
All right. I haven't got anything brilliant. I only know as much as you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I sat there in court for 3 days listening while the evidence built up. Everybody sounded so positive that I started to get a peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions I would have liked to ask. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything, I don't know. But I started to feel that the defense counsel wasn't doing his job. He let too many things go, little things.
Oh, what little things? Listen, when these guys don't ask questions, that's because they know the answers already and they figure they'll be hurt.
Maybe. It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, you sound like you've met my brother-in-law.
Putting myself in the boy's place, I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witness to shreds, or at least try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to this killing. Someone else claims he heard the killing and then saw the boy running out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they were wrong?
What do you mean, supposing they were wrong? What's the point in having witnesses at all?
Could they be wrong?
They sat on the stand under oath? What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Well, now listen, nobody can know a thing like that. This isn't an exact science.
That's right. It isn't.
All right. Let's try and get to the point here. What about the switch knife they found in the father's chest?
Well, wait a minute. I think we ought to. There are some people who haven't talked yet.
No. They can talk whenever they want. Now just be quiet for a second, will you? Look, number 8. What about the knife? You know, the one that was that fine, upright boy admitted to buying on the night of the murder? Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it. I'd like to see it again. Mr. Foreman?
Yep, on it.
We all know what it looks like. What are we going to get out of seeing it again?
You brought it up.
I mean, the gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence. The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence, don't you think so?
I do.
Good. So now we suppose we take these facts one at a time. 1, the boy admitted going out of his house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his
He
father.
didn't say punched. He said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
Well, after being hit several times by his father. 2, the boy went directly to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought a, what do you call those things?
Switch
a
knife.
switchblade knife. Thank you, Juror 3. 3, this isn't what you call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4, the storekeeper who sold it to him identified the knife in court and said it was the only one of its kind he'd ever had in stock. 5, at about 8:45, the boy ran into 3 of his friends in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you bet he is. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Okay, so the boy talks with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at 9:45. During this time, they saw the knife. 6, each of them identified the death weapon in court as that same very knife. 7, the boy arrived home at about 10 o'clock. Now, this point is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly, because he claimed that he stayed home until 11:30 and then he went to one of those all-night movies. He returned home at 3:15 in the morning to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to that switch knife? It's the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. So he claimed the knife fell through a pocket in his trousers sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 whilst he was on a trip to the movies, and then he never saw it again. Now, this is a tale, gentlemen, isn't it? I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. No one in the house saw him go out at 11:30. No one at the theatre identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the pictures he saw. What actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death with a knife at 10 minutes after 12, and fled from the home. He even remembered to wipe the knife off clean of fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified the knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that it really fell through the hole in the boy's pocket and that someone picked it off the tree, went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
I mean, look, take a look at that knife. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking anyone to accept it. I'm just saying that it's possible.
I'm just saying it's not possible.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
What?
I'll be damned.
Look at it. It's the same knife.
How do you
What
like
is
Where'd
that?
that come
What are
from?
you trying to do?
My God. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Look,
So, what's going on here? Who do you think you
okay,
are?
can you be quiet? Let's be quiet. Where'd you get that knife?
I was walking for a couple of hours last night, just thinking. I walked through the boy's neighbourhood. The knife comes from a little pawn shop 3 blocks from his house. It costs $6.
Well, isn't it against the law to buy or, sell switchblade knives?
That's right, I broke the law.
Listen, you've got a real bright trick here. I suppose you're telling me what you've proved. Maybe there are 10 knives like it. So what?
Maybe there are.
So what does that mean? Is it some kind of same kind of knife? So what? Discovery of the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to have stabbed the father with the same kind of knife.
Right, he's right.
I'm like, the odds are 1 in a million.
It's possible.
But not very probable, is it?
Listen, there's no point wishy-washing around here. Come on.
But you see, what I find interesting is that he did find a knife exactly like the one the boy
What's
bought.
interesting? You think it proves anything?
Well, no, I was just
Interesting. Listen, how the kid brought the knife to begin with? How come the
he
kid brought the knife
claimed
to begin
that.
with? I know what he claims. He claims he bought it for a present for his friend. He was going to give it to him the next day because he busted the other kid's knife by dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
Baloney.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Yeah, and how long before the killing? 3 weeks. Right, so how come our noble lad bought this knife 1.5 hour after his father smacked him and 3.5 hours before they found it shoved in his chest?
Well, he was gonna give the knife to his friend. He just wanted to use it for a minute.
Juror 3, let me ask you this. It's one of the questions I wanted to ask in court. If the boy bought the knife to use on his own father, how come he showed what was going to be the murder weapon to 3 friends of his just a couple of hours before the killing?
Listen, this is all talk. The boy lied, and you know it.
He may have lied. Juror 10, do you think he lied?
Now that is a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
4, do you?
You know my answer. He lied.
5, do you think he lied?
You see, I'm not sure.
You're not sure about what? Wait a second. Number 8, what are you? The kid's lawyer or something? How do you think he started cross-examining us?
Isn't that what we're supposed to happen in a jury room?
Listen, there are still 11 of us who think he's guilty.
Yeah, like, what do you think you're going to accomplish? You're not going to change anybody's mind. So if you want to keep stubborn and hang this jury, go ahead. The kid will be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So, what are you going to do about it? We can be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Thank you.
Brother. Anybody got a deck of cards or something?
Oh, well, I don't think you ought to make a joke about it. Come on.
What do you want me to do?
Listen, I don't see all this stuff about the knife has to do with anything. Somebody saw the kid stab his father. What more do we need? I've got 3 garages of mine going to pot while you're talking. Let's get done and get out of here.
The knife was very important to the district attorney. He spent
Oh, he's a 15th assistant or something. What does he know?
Okay. I think we ought to get on with it now. These side arguments only slow us up. Number 8, what about it?
You're the only one.
I have a proposition to make to all of you. I want to call for a vote. I'd like you 11 men to vote by secret written ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now. But if anyone votes not guilty, we'll stay and talk this thing out. Well, that's all. If you want to try it, I'm ready.
Well, finally, you're behaving like a reasonable man.
Check. I'll buy that.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, that sounds fair. So, anyone doesn't agree? Okay, so when you're ready, just put them in the chat. Right, okay. Guilty, 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 not guilty, guilty.
Oh,
God. Oh my God.
Boy, how'd you like that?
And another chap flips his goddamn wig.
All right. Come on, no. Who was it? Come on. I want to know.
Excuse me. This was a secret ballot. We agreed on this.
Secret? What do you mean secret? There are no secrets in the jury room. I know it was. Five, brother, you really are something. You come in here and vote guilty like everyone else, and then this golden-voiced preacher over here starts to tear your heart out with stories of a poor little kid who couldn't help becoming a murderer. So change your vote. If that isn't the most sickening... Oh, wait, you just drop a quarter in his collection box.
Now wait a minute, you can't talk to me like that.
Oh,
Well, I mean, you're the one who
Let's try
voted
and
for
keep it
Where does he get the right to shout at me?
All right.
have it.
All right.
Who does he think he is? I mean, did you see him?
Now let's calm down. Just sit down. He's very excitable.
You bet I'm excited.
it-
We're
no,
trying to
it
put a
doesn't
guilty
matter.
man in the chair
Oh my
where he
God.
belongs. All of a sudden, someone's telling us fairy tales, and we're listening.
Oh my God, take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? Do you feel like seeing a proven murderer walking the streets? Why, you just give him his knife back and make it easier for him.
Okay, stop the yelling. Who's got something constructive to say?
Please. I would like to say something here. I've always thought that in this country, a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions.
Let's stick to the subject. What made you change your mind?
He didn't change his vote. I did. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make it clear anyway, if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
Oi, look, the man wants to talk.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. For the time being, the vote is 10-2. I'm talking here. You have no right to.
Yeah, you never will.
Well, if the speech is over, maybe we can go on.
No, I think we ought to take a break. Come on, one man's away.
Looks like we're really hung up here. I mean, that thing with the old man was pretty unexpected. I wish I knew how we could break this up. You know, in advertising, I told you I worked at an ad agency, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are some pretty strange people. Not strange, really. They just have peculiar ways of expressing themselves, you know what I mean? Well, it's probably the same in your business, right? What do you do?
I'm a watchmaker.
Really? The finest watchmakers come from Europe, I imagine. Anyway, I was telling you, in the agency, when they reach a point like this in a meeting, there's always some character ready with an idea, and it kills me. I mean, it's the weirdest thing sometimes, the way they precede the idea with some kind of phrase like, oh, some account X will say, here's an idea, let's run it up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes it, or put it on a bus and see if it gets off at Wall Street. I mean, it's idiotic, but it's funny.
Look, Five, I was a little excited. Well, you know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty or anything.
Yeah, okay.
Say, did you say you were a salesman?
I'm an architect.
You know what soft sellers? You're pretty good at it, I'll tell you. I got a different technique. Jokes, drinks, knock him on their asses. I made 27,000 last year selling marmalade. That's not bad, considering marmalade. What are you getting out of it? Kicks. The boy is guilty, pal, so let's go home before we get sore throats.
What's the difference whether you get one here or at the ball game?
No difference, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys.
Guess they're the same as any.
That loud, heavy-set guy, the one who was telling us about the kid. The way he was talking. Boy, that's an embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what a murderous day. Do you think we'll be able to go home anytime soon?
I don't know.
He's guilty, for sure. There's not a doubt in the whole world. We should have been done already. Listen, I don't care, you know. It beats working. You think he's innocent?
I don't know. It's possible.
I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wronger in your life. You got to wrap it up. You're wasting your time.
Suppose you were the one on trial?
No, I'm not used to supposing. I'm just a working man. My boss does the supposing, but I'll try. I'll try one. Suppose you talk us all out of this, and the kid really did knife his father.
Right, okay. Let's continue.
Looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Okay. Let's get down to business. What's to start it off?
Well,
I'd
maybe
like to-
it'd be profitable. if
pardon me.
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I just-
no, go ahead. It's all right.
Well, thank you. I was going to say, well, it's probably a small point, but anyway, the boy had a motive for the killing, you know, the beatings and all, right? So if he didn't do it, then who did? Who else had the motive? Well, that's my point. I mean, nobody goes out and kills someone without a motive. Not unless he's just plain nuts, right?
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help ourselves asking, who else might have had a motive? Logically, these things follow. This gentleman is asking a very reasonable point. Somebody killed him. If it wasn't for the boy, who was it?
Eric Cole.
Talking about the man I love.
No, look. If you haven't got anything to add besides joke, I suggest you listen.
Right.
What's up?
Letting off some steam. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you can answer me. Who else might have killed the father?
Well, I don't know. The father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer outlined his background in his closing statement. He was in prison once. He was known to be a compulsive gambler and a pretty consistent loser. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars and he'd usually get into fistfights, sometimes after a couple of drinks, usually over a woman. He was a tough, cruel, primitive kind of man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So here are a few possibilities. He could have been murdered by one of many men he served time with in prison, by a bookmaker, by a man he'd beaten up, by a woman he picked up, by any of the people he was known to hang out with.
Boy, oh boy, that is the biggest load of crap I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Listen, we know the father was a bum. So what has that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him. I gave my answer.
Cheers.
Who of four over there asked a direct question?
Oh, sorry, everyone's a lawyer.
Look, suppose you answer me this. The old man who lived downstairs heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill you." And a second later, he heard a body hit the floor. Then he saw the kid run out the house. Now, what does all that mean to you? I was wondering how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling. He didn't hear it through the ceiling. His window was open and a window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
Well, he identified it in court. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices, blindfolded.
That was just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Look, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years. But to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible he was wrong? That maybe he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice.
Well, I mean, I think that's a bit far-fetched.
You can say that again. Look, the old man heard the father's body falling, and then he saw the boy run out of the house 15 seconds later. He saw the boy.
Check. And don't forget the woman across the street. She looked right into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. I mean, isn't that enough for you?
Not right now, no it isn't.
How do you like him? It's like talking into a dead phone.
Look. The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevator train. The train had 6 cars and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. I mean, she remembered the most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that one.
Well, hey, what have you got to say about that?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, suppose you think about it.
I wonder if anybody has any idea how long it takes an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point.
What has that got to do with
How long?
anything?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Juror 5, what do you think?
I don't know, 10, 12 seconds,
What's
maybe.
all this for?
Good.
I'd say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
That sounds right to me.
Oh, come on. What's the guessing game for?
2, what would you say?
I don't know, 10 seconds approximately.
All right,
Same as me.
all right. Let's say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now say that given point is the open window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L tracks, right?
Right.
All right. Now let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
Ooh, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooks an L line. I'm a house painter, you know. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Brother, well, it didn't matter. We're all punching our business anyway.
I lived in a 2nd floor apartment next to an L line once. When the windows open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
I will. Let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, the old man in the apartment downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And a split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. 1 second later, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Second, the woman in the apartment across the street. She claimed that she looked out of her window and saw the killing through the last 2 cars of the passing elevated train. Right? The last 2 cars.
All right, what point are you making?
Now, we agreed that an L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the stabbing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body fell to the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the L train had been roaring by the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his own testimony, hearing "I'm going to kill you" and the body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make this statement while the L train was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
Idiotic. Of course he could have heard it.
Juror 3, do you think so?
Yeah, the old man said the boy yelled it out. That's enough for me.
If he heard anything at all, he still couldn't have identified the voice with the L roaring by.
Talking about a matter of seconds. No one can be that accurate.
Well, I think that a testimony which could put a human being into the electric chair should be that accurate.
Yes.
I don't think he could have heard it, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, the L noise.
What are you people talking about?
Well, it does stand to reason.
You're crazy. Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe?
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one into a newspaper? They pay $3.
Hey, what are you talking to him like that for? You ought to have some respect, mister, right? If you say that stuff like that again, I'm going to have to lay you out. Go ahead. Say anything you want. Why do you think your old man might lie?
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice it? I mean, coming to court like that. He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all his life, who has never had recognition. His name in the newspapers, nobody knows him, nobody quotes him, nobody seeks advice after 75 years. It's a very sad thing to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted just once. That is very important. It would be so hard for him to recede into the background.
Now, wait a minute. Are you trying to tell us he'd lie just so that he can be important once?
He wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe that he'd heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I have ever heard.
Give it a rest.
How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
Gentlemen, look. You know, we must remember this case based on reasonable and logical progression of facts. Let's keep it there.
That's true.
Facts may be coloured by the personalities of the people who present them.
Say what you like. I still don't see how anybody can think the boy's not guilty.
There's another thing I wanted to talk about for a minute. I think we've proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But supposing...
Oh, you didn't prove it at all. What are you talking about?
But supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, how many times has each of us used it? Probably hundreds. "I could kill you for that, darling. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to kill you. Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say it every day. Doesn't mean we're going to kill someone.
Wait a minute. What you're trying to give us here, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and the kid screamed it at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anyone who says a thing like that, the way he said it, means it.
Well, I don't know. I remember, for instance, I was arguing with the guy I sit next to at the bank a couple of weeks ago, and he called me an idiot. So I then yelled.
This guy is making you believe things that aren't so. The kid was going to kill him, and he said he killed him.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighbourhood would hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right. He's a common, ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good
English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Wait, are you for real?
You heard me.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. The vote is 9-3 in favour of guilty.
Well, if that isn't the living end, what are you basing it on? Stories that this guy made up. He ought to write for the Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Listen, the facts are staring you right in the face. Every one of them says the kid killed his own man. For crying out loud, his own lawyer knew that he did it. You could see it, couldn't you? He deserves the chair.
Does he? It's happened before that someone's been convicted of murder and executed, and years later, someone else has confessed to the crime. Sometimes the facts that are staring you in the face are wrong.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I wasn't talking to you. The kid is a lawyer, didn't he? The lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you've got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
So what does that mean?
Well, it can mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He'd really have to believe in his client to make a good fight. As you pointed out a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Sure he didn't. Who in hell could, except God come to earth or somebody? Come on already. Look at the time.
Pardon me, but I have made some notes here.
Oh, no.
I would like, please, to say something. I've been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looked guilty, but maybe if we go deeper.
Oh, come on, will ya?
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and ran away.
Yes.
This was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he caught by the police? He came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. My question is, if he really had killed his father, why would he come back 3 hours later?
Good question.
Or,
Look, he came home to get his knife. It's not nice to need knives sticking in people's chests.
Yeah. Especially relatives.
Especially relatives.
Yeah, I mean, Juror 11. Can I ask, the boy knew that there were the people who could identify the knife as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
but if he knew the knife could be identified, why did he leave it there in the first place?
It's true.
And I think we can assume he ran out in a state of panic after he killed his own father. And then when he finally calmed down, he realized that he'd left the knife there.
This then depends on your definition of panic. He was calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints on the knife. Now, where did his panic start and where did it end?
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. He still came home to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I were the boy and I had killed my father, I would not have come home 3 hours later. I would be afraid that the police would be there. I would stay away, knife or no knife.
Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm simply asking questions.
Has anyone else got any thoughts? When you were 12, you haven't spoken in a while.
Well, this is just off the top of my head, but if I were the boy and I'd, done the stabbing and everything, I'd take a chance and go back for the knife. I'll bet he figured no one had seen him and that the body probably wasn't even discovered yet. After all, it was the middle of the night. He probably thought no one would find the body till the next day.
I agree with that.
Pardon, but here is my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is, a moment after the L train went by, she screamed and then went to the telephone to call the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think he would have gone back if he had been the murderer.
Very true, very true.
There's 2 points there. One, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. 2, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own acts. Remember, he lives in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Right, there's your answer.
Maybe. Maybe he did stab his father, didn't hear the woman's scream, did run out in a panic, did calm down 3 hours later, and came back to try and get the knife, risking being caught by the police.
Fine.
Maybe all those things are so, but maybe they're not. I think there's enough doubt to make us wonder whether he was there at all during the time the murder took place.
Oh, what do you mean doubt? What are you talking about? Didn't the old man see him running out of the house? Look, he's twisting the facts, I'm telling you. Did or didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10?
Yeah.
Well, did he or didn't he?
He says that he did.
Says he did. Boy, oh boy, how'd you like that? Well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the kid kill his father? She says she did. You're making out like it don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. And what you don't want to believe, you don't. What kind of way is that? What do you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their health? I'm telling you, the facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there is no reason for it.
Oh my God, witnesses can make mistakes.
Sure, when you want them to, they do. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hold the Ellen down.
Yeah, you know what? You keep saying that. Maybe what we need here is a little yelling. These guys going on every which way. Did he screams? Didn't he scream?
Christ.
What's the difference?
Garment.
Little details. You're forgetting the important stuff. I mean, all of a sudden,
I'd like to
here,
call for another vote.
everybody.
Oh,
Oh, listen, I am talking here.
Well, no, there's another vote called for. Okay. Okay. How about calm down?
Shut him up.
again by voting again.
I don't know. The gentleman asked.
I've seen so much time spent on nothing.
It only takes a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess the fastest way to find out who's voting not guilty. All those in favour of not guilty, raise their hands. Okay, still the same. 1, 2, 3 not guilties, 9 guilties.
So now where are we? I'm telling you, we can yickety yak until next Tuesday here. Where's it getting us?
I vote not guilty.
Oh, now listen, what are you talking about? I think we're
Spicing
all
it
going
up.
crazy in here. This kid is guilty.
So you think?
Why don't you pay attention to the facts? Listen, number 4, just tell him, will you? This is getting a goddamn joke.
Vote is 8-4, favour of guilty.
I mean, everyone's heart is starting to bleed. This little plunk like the president just declared it Love Your Unprivileged Brother Week. Listen, I'd like you to tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, give me reasons.
I don't have to defend my decision to you. I have a reasonable doubt in my
Oh,
mind.
what reasonable doubt? That's nothing but words. Here, you look at that knife. That's the one the kid decided to shove into his father's chest. Well, think about it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
I'm telling you, this is the craziest. I mean, you're sitting in here pulling stories out of thin air. What we're supposed to believe. I'm telling you, if this guy was sitting ringside in the Dempsey Furpo fight, he'd be trying to tell us Furpo won. Look, and what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up and run to his door and see the kid tearing down the stairs 15 seconds after the killing? He's only saying he did it. He's only saying he did it to be important. I mean, what's the point of this whole?
Hold on a second.
And the Milwaukee Rooter is heard from.
No. Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Oh, it does.
Ran, walked. What's the difference? He got there.
No, he said he ran to the door. At least I think.
I don't remember what he said, but how can he run?
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Wait a minute. Where was his bedroom again?
Exactly.
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No. I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the trial over just so that we can get everything absolutely straight?
Right? What's this for? How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
No. I want to see this one too.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Look, if we're going to start wading through all this business about where the body was found.
We're not.
Really...
Not unless someone else wants to. I'd like to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year can get from his bed to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
Now I'm telling you, he said 20. What are you trying to distort?
He said 15.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? He can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive.
Oh, he's an old man. You saw him half the time. He was
be
confused. You can't be positive about anything.
Anything.
I don't see what we're going to prove here. The man said he saw the boy running out.
Well, let's see if the details bear out. As soon as the body fell on the floor, he said he heard footsteps upstairs running towards the front door.
Yes.
He heard the upstairs door open and the footsteps start down the stairs. He got to his front door as soon as he could. He swore that it couldn't have been more than 15 seconds.
Okay.
Now, if the killer began running immediately...
Well, maybe he didn't.
The old man said he did.
You know, you ought to be down in Atlantic City at the Hair Splitters convention.
Listen, baseball, why don't you stop making smart remarks?
Yeah.
Good.
My friend, for your $3 a day, you've got to listen to everything.
Drake, now that you've got the plan up, what about it?
May I? This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. There are the L tracks, the bedroom, another bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen, and that's the hall. There's the front door to the apartment, there are the stairs. Now, the old man was in bed in his bedroom. He says he got up, went down the hall to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right so far?
That is the story for the 19th time.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
His bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. Now he had to get up out of bed, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think he could have done it?
Absolutely not.
He can only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair, for goodness sake.
Oh, you make it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who had a stroke, it's a long walk.
That's the old man's bed. I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him.
What do you mean you want to try it? Why didn't the kid's lawyer bring it up?
Well, maybe he just didn't think of it. I don't know. Did anybody else think of it?
I think, Joe 10, we can't hear you.
Classic
move on.
Zoom.
Move on.
I mean,
Move on.
what do you mean you didn't think of it?
There he is.
I was trying to say, do you think the man's an idiot or something? Like, it's an obvious thing.
I'm sorry, did you think of it?
Well, listen, smart guy, it doesn't matter whether I thought of it.
Okay, now, let's hold it down.
He didn't bring it up because he knew the answer would hurt his case. Now, what do you think of that?
Okay, let's just...
Okay, all right. Here's the bed. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I would like to see it.
Oh. All right, this is the bedroom door. The hall is a little over 43 feet long. I'll pace over to that wall and back again.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What's the idea wasting everybody's time here?
12. According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that.
Precisely.
39, 40, 41, 42, 43. This is the door to the outside hall and stairway. It was chain locked according to the testimony. Who's got the watch for the second hand?
I'll time.
When you want me to start, shout go. That'll be the body falling.
Okay.
Time me from there.
Anyone for charade?
I've never
Shut up.
my whole life.
Okay, I'm ready.
Not now.
Come on, let's go here.
Okay. No, I want to wait until the second hand reaches 60 and
Smart
go.
move.
Oh my god.
Come on, snap it up.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Oh, just let him do it.
Come on, William, let's get this kid stuff over with.
Stop!
Okay, that
What's
was
time?
42 seconds exactly.
42 seconds.
Oh.
42 seconds.
Look, I think this is what happened. The old man heard the fight between the boy and his father a few hours earlier. Then, while lying in bed, he heard a body hit the floor in the boy's apartment, and he heard the woman scream from across the street. He got up, tried to get to the door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice. You make up some wild stories, and all of a sudden you start getting through some of the old ladies in here. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough.
Come on.
What's the matter with
Oh
you?
my
Every one of
God,
you knows this
shut
kid
up.
is guilty. He's got to
No, that's
burn,
not
will
true.
it, and slip through our fingers.
Slip through our
It's a bit
fingers.
far.
Are you his executioner?
I am one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
Oh, if you bet I'd like to pull the
I
switch.
am sorry for you.
Oh, don't start with
Ever
me
since
now.
we walked into this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
I am telling you, shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you
Shut
can't
up!
help it, not because of the facts. You're a sadist.
You son of a bitch! I will kill you.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Is there anything wrong, gentlemen? I noticed some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. Just a little argument. Everything's okay.
Well, what are you staring at?
I suppose someone has to start it off again.
It's getting late. What do they do? Let us go for supper or something like that?
How do I know?
I wonder if they let us log off if we don't finish tonight. I mean, I've got a boy with mumps. The wife says he looks like Khrushchev.
But this fighting, this is not why we are here, to fight. We have a responsibility. This, I have always thought, is a remarkable thing about democracy. That we are, what is the word? Notified? That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have never heard of before. We have nothing to gain or to lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
If no one else has an idea, I may have a cutie here. I mean, I haven't put much thought into it. Anyway, let me throw it out on the stoop and see if the cat licks it up.
See if the cat licks it up.
Well, it wasn't much of an idea anyway.
Maybe not your best
Dark
one.
it's getting. We're gonna have a storm. Oh, it's hot.
indeed.
Listen, I was wondering if maybe we shouldn't have another vote.
Great idea. Maybe we can follow this one up with dancing and refreshments. How does that sound?
Mr. Foreman?
Yeah, well, it's all right with me. Anyone doesn't want to vote?
I think we ought to have an open ballot this time. Call out your votes. Let's see who stands where.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fair. Anyone object? Okay, so the last vote was 8-4 in favour of guilty. All right, I'll call off your jury numbers. So I vote guilty. Number 2.
Not guilty.
Number 3.
Guilty.
Number 4.
Guilty.
Number 5.
Not guilty.
Number 6.
Not guilty.
Number 7.
Guilty.
Number 8.
Not guilty.
Number 9.
Not guilty.
Number 10.
Guilty.
Number 11.
Not guilty.
Number 12.
Guilty.
6-6.
Here we go into extra innings.
6-6. I'm telling you, some of you people in here are out of your minds. A kid like that.
I don't think that the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to be
Oh, don't give me any of that. I'm sick and tired of your facts. You can twist them any way you like. Know what I mean?
That's exactly the point that the 8th juror has been making. I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs.
Calm down.
It's going to rain.
No. How did you figure that out, Blue Eyes? Tell me. How come you switched?
Well, they just seemed to me that.
I mean, you haven't got legs to stand on. You know that, don't you?
Well, I don't feel that way. You see, there's a lot of details that never came out, and
Details. You're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, what do you call them? Intellectuals.
No, that's not so, okay?
Oh, come on, you're like everybody else. You think too much. You get mixed up. Know what I mean?
Now listen, I don't think you have any right to just be loud.
Well, what do you think of this? Even Steven. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, number 4, that business before, that guy was baiting me. I mean, that doesn't prove anything. Listen, I'm just a very excitable person, you know? So where does he get off calling me a public avenger and a sadist and everything? Anyone in his right mind would blow his stack, wouldn't he? He was just trying to bait me.
I mean, he did an excellent job.
Okay, yeah, maybe he did. I told you, I can't help that kind of thing. I'm a certain type of person. I get moved by this. Let me tell you, I am sincere.
Fine. We all are.
Well.
Oh, number
Uh,
10. Another problem again.
Oh, not again.
Look, isn't this the goddamnest thing you ever saw? 6-6. I mean, it's a joke.
Well, what are we going to do about it? Can we break it somehow?
Yeah, those 6 bastards in there aren't going to change their mind.
Well, I mean, 5 of them have already changed their mind. There's no reason why they can't do it again.
How?
Oh, we can just use logic, can't we?
Logic? Holy cow!
This man, he's the only one in the room who knows.
You want my opinion?
Go ahead.
I think we should just quit.
What the hell are you talking about?
Those people in there are suddenly like it's some kind of mission or something. Look, they're not going to switch, so let's go and tell the judge. We'll be here all night. For Christ's sake, let's tell him we're hung. The hell with this. I mean, what am I going to do? Break my brains over scum like that?
You can an oath in a courtroom. You can't just quit.
Yeah, why not?
It's dishonest. Why don't you vote not guilty?
I voted guilty because I think he's guilty.
But now you don't care what happens.
No, why should I?
Oh, all right. All right, let's stop this. We're not going to get anywhere like this, are we?
Yeah, well, what does he want? I gave my honest opinion.
Yeah, I know.
I suppose you don't think much of it.
Well, no. I don't.
We'd like to get going in here again if you don't mind.
How about him? Is that something?
A hung jury doesn't mean anything. They just have to start the trial with another jury. That's not what we're here for.
What the hell's the difference? A hung jury is what you're gonna get.
Look, would you please just
listen? I'll tell you what I think. We're going nowhere here. I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury.
I go for that too. Let's take it to the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys.
I don't think the court will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Exactly.
Well, let's find out.
I am not in favor of this.
I agree with you.
Listen, this kid wouldn't stand a chance with another jury, and you know it. Come on, we're hung. Nobody's going to change his opinion. Let's take it inside.
You still don't think there's any room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't.
Pardon, but maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
Explain it to him.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who the hell are you to talk to me like that? How do you like this guy? I'm telling you, they're all alike. He comes over to this country running for his life before he can take a big breath. He's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of this guy.
You mean you're calling him arrogant because he wasn't born here? Well, I'm calling you arrogant because you were. How's that?
Yeah. Please, it doesn't matter.
Look, Sonny, nobody around here is going to tell me what words I understand and what words I don't. Especially number 11. Because I'll knock his goddamn Middle European head off.
Right. Stop arguing for 2 minutes in here. Can we stick to the subject?
I'd like to go over something, if you gentlemen don't mind. An important point for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after he claimed he was at the movies during the hours the killing took place, couldn't name the pictures he saw or the stars who appeared in them. Juror number 4. You've repeated that point in here several times.
That's correct. I mean, it was the only alibi the boy offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details at all.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, if you can, do you think you'll be able to remember details after an upsetting experience, such as being struck in the face by your father?
I think so. I mean, if there were any special details to remember, he couldn't remember the movies at the theatre he named because he wasn't there.
According to police testimony in court, he was questioned by the police in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying on the floor in the bedroom. Do you think you could remember details under such circumstances?
Yeah, I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
You remember the movies in court, he named them correctly, and he named the stars who played in them?
Yes, I mean, his lawyer took great pains to bring that out. He had 3 months from the night of the murder to the day of the trial in which to memorize them. I'll take the testimony of the policeman who interrogated him right after the murder when he couldn't remember a thing about the movies. Great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
At home.
What about the night before last?
Oh, come on, what is this?
No. It's perfectly all right. I went from court to my office and stayed there till 8:30. Then I went straight home to bed.
And the night before that?
That was Tuesday. I was. Oh yes, that was the night of the bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night?
When you get down to New Year's Eve, 1950,
Oh,
let me know, please.
Monday nights. Monday nights. My wife and I, we went to the movies.
Ah, what did you see?
The Scarlet Circle. Very clever whodunit.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. The remarkable Mrs. something, Mrs. Bainbridge. No, Bainbridge. The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
Sorry, excuse me. I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
The amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. Yeah, I think that's right.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
Barbara Long. I think she's a dark, very very beautiful girl, pretty. Barbara Langlane, something like that.
Who else?
Well, I'd never heard of them. It was a very inexpensive second.
And you weren't under any emotional stress, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
Yeah, big point. Big point.
I think it's a big point.
What, just because you can't remember the name of some 2-bit movie star? I suppose that proves the kid was at the movies.
No, but it indicates that no one can prove he wasn't. Exactly. He might have been at the movies and forgotten what he saw. It's possible. If it's perfectly normal for the fourth juror to forget a few details, then it's also perfectly normal for the boy to do so. Being accused of murder isn't necessarily supposed to give him an infallible memory.
Look, you can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty, period. You know what I mean, my friend?
Well, you know, there's something we're forgetting here that I was thinking about. Well, there's that whole business that dragged out forever. That with the psychiatrist.
Oh, now don't start with all that phony psycho, whatever you call it, stuff. What a racket that is. Filling people's heads with all that junk. Look, listen. I've got 3 psychiatrists keeping their cars in one of my garages. The whole lot of them are crazy.
Listen, there's a point I'm trying to make here. Do you mind?
Look, I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's
Why don't you let the man
testimony.
talk? You can take 5 minutes on the usefulness of psychiatry when he's finished.
Thank you. What I was going to say was the psychiatrist definitely stated that the boy had strong homicidal tendencies. I mean, that he was capable of committing murder. He described all those tests, ink blots and all that stuff, and he said the kid is definitely a serial killer type. Am I right?
Check. I think he said something about paranoid tendencies, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yes, whatever that is, he said. Let's not forget, we're talking about a boy who's always had murder on his mind.
His unconscious mind.
Well, nobody else's.
I beg pardon. In discussing...
I beg pardon. Why are you so goddamn polite?
For the same reason that you are not. It's the way I was brought up.
Oh, okay.
In discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we should remember that many of us are capable of committing murder, but few of us do. We impose controls upon ourselves to prevent it. The most these psychiatric tests can accomplish along these lines is this. They can tell us that someday a particular person may commit a murder. That's all. They prove nothing.
Then can I ask, then how have they've omitted an evidence?
They have many uses, of course. In this case, they were added to the general impression of the prosecution was trying to create. Perhaps we would find that if we 12 men took the very same test, 1 or 2 of us might be discovered to have unconscious desires to kill. And potentially, the potentiality of carrying them out. yet none of us has. To say that a man is capable of murder does not mean that he has committed murder.
Yes, but it can mean it. Listen, if they said the kid is capable of killing, he could have killed, couldn't he?
Or the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony."
Oh boy, I am telling you, I would like to. Oh.
What time is it?
It's 5 to 6. Man, look at the rain.
There goes your ball game.
Well, we're still tied up 6-6. Who's got a suggestion?
I have. Let's get some dinner.
Can we not just wait till 7? Like, give it another hour?
Okay with me?
There's something I don't quite understand. I mean, it's been bothering me a little, and as long as we're stuck, well, there was this whole business about the stab wound and how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know.
Oh, don't tell me to start with this again. They went
Well,
over it and over it.
I mean, I know they did, but I didn't go along with it because, you see, the boy is like, I don't know, 5'7", and his father was 6'2". That's a difference of, what, 7 inches? It's a pretty awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's more than half a foot taller than you are.
1 second. Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'm going to give you a demonstration.
Jesus.
Okay, now watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. I'll make myself 6 or 7 inches shorter, right?
Maybe a little more.
Okay, maybe.
Sure.
That's right. Take a look at it. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a tall man in the chest, and that's what was done. Now go ahead and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
No. Wait a minute. Let me show you something. I hate these things. I grew up with them.
Have you seen them used in fights?
Too many. On my stoop, in my backyard, in the lot across the street. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny. I wasn't thinking of it. I guess you try to forget those things. You don't use this kind of knife that way. You hold it like this to release the blade. In order to stab downwards, you'd have to change your grip.
How do you use it?
Underhanded. Oh. So you flick out and stab. Like that. Anybody who's ever used a switch knife would never handle it in any other way.
You sure?
I'm sure. That's why they're made like this.
Everyone agreed that the boy is pretty handy with a knife, didn't they?
That's right.
Do you think he would have made that kind of wound that killed his father?
Not with the experience he'd have with these things. No. I don't think he would. He'll go for him underhanded.
How do you know? What, were you in the room when the father was killed?
No, and neither was anybody else.
Number 8, you're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo here. I don't believe.
Look, I don't think you can determine what type of wound this boy might or might not have given simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
That's absolutely right.
Juror 12, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, what do you mean you don't know?
I don't know.
7, what about you?
Just a minute. According to the woman across the street...
Listen, I'll tell you something. I'm a little bit sick of this whole thing already. All this yakking getting us nowhere, so I'm going to break it up here. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You're what?
You heard me. I've had enough.
What do you mean you've had enough? That's no answer.
Hey, listen, you just worry about yourself.
Oh, this is fucking ridiculous.
He's right. That is not an answer. What kind of man are you? You have sat here and voted guilty with everyone else because there are some baseball tickets burning a hole in your pocket. Now, you have changed your vote because you say you're sick of all the talking here.
Listen, buddy.
You have no right to play like this with a man's life. This is a terrible and ugly thing to do. Don't you care?
Now, wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that.
I can talk like that to you.
Yeah.
If you want to vote not guilty, then do it because you're convinced the man is not guilty, not because you've had enough. And if you think he's guilty, then vote that way. Or don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Now listen.
Guilty or not guilty?
I told you, not guilty.
Why?
God damn you, I don't have to.
You do have to. Say it. Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
Mr. Foreman, I want another vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. Anybody object? So all those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh.
Voting guilty. Okay, 9-3 in favour of not guilty.
I do not understand you people.
There we go.
I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. How can you believe his story? I mean, Drew 11, you're an intelligent man. You're not going to tell me you're not. You know the facts of life. Well, for Christ's sakes, look at what we're dealing with here. You know what they're like. I mean, that guy over there. Well, I don't know what the hell is going on with him. All that talk about psychiatrists. Maybe you ought to go to one. Yeah, look, let's talk facts. These people are born to lie. And that's the way they are. And no intelligent man is going to tell me otherwise. They don't know what the truth is. Well, take a look at them.
Oh my God.
They're different. They think different. They act different. But, well, for instance, they don't need any big excuse to kill someone.
I can't deal with him anymore.
Oh my God.
Well, that's true. Everybody knows it. They get drunk on wine or something cheap like that. Oh, they're very big drinkers. And when they're drunk and all of a sudden, bang! Somebody's lying dead in the gutter. Okay, nobody's blaming them for it. That's how they are by nature. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life doesn't mean as much to them as it does to us.
Okay, that.
Number 11, where are you going? Look, you listen to me now. These people are boozing it up and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Family don't mean anything to them. They breed like animals. Fathers, mothers, that don't mean anything. Oh, sure, there are some good things about them. Look, I'm the first one to say that. I know some who are okay, but that's the exception. That's the exception.
Oh, you're a very sick man.
Exactly.
Right. Sick.
Why don't you be quiet?
You old son of a bitch! Who the hell are you? No, who the hell is he to tell me that? Sick! Look at him. He can hardly stand up. Listen, I'm speaking my piece here, and you're gonna listen.
Maybe if you just quieted down.
Oh, I will like hell quiet down. There is not one of them, not one, who's any good.
Maybe.
Now, do you hear that?
Disgusting.
Not one. Now, let me lay this out for you, ignorant bastards. You're all so goddamn smart. We're facing a danger here. Do you know it? These people are multiplying. The kid on trial, his type, they're multiplying 5 times as fast as we are. Now, that's the statistic. 5 times. And they are wild animals. They're against us. They hate us. They want to destroy us. That's right. Now, don't you all look at me like that. There's a danger, for God's sake. We're living in a dangerous time, and if we don't watch it, if we don't smack them down whenever we can, then they're going to own us, and they're going to breed us out of existence.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, goddamn geniuses. Better listen to me.
Please, man.
They're violent, they're vicious, they're ignorant, and they will cut us up. That's their intent, to cut us up. I am warning you. This boy on trial here, we've got him. Right? That's one at least. I say, get him before his kind gets us.
You should be ashamed.
Now, I don't give a goddamn about the law. Why should I? They don't.
I've heard enough.
Now I'm telling you, how would you like me to cave your head in for you, you smart little bastard? Where the hell did you get the call?
We've heard enough.
Pipe down.
Enough. We've heard enough.
Reasonable.
Sit down. Don't open your filthy mouth again.
Christ.
Very hard to take prejudice out of a thing like this. And no matter where you run into it, prejudice obscures the truth. Well, I don't think any real damage has been done because I don't really know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. 9 of us now seem to feel that the defendant is innocent, but we're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be trying to return a guilty man to the community. No one can really know. But we have a reasonable doubt. I mean, this is a safeguard which is enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
Yeah. I'll try. You've made some excellent points. The last one in which you argued the boy wouldn't have made that kind of overhand stab wound that killed the father was very persuasive. I still believe that the boy is guilty of murder. I have 2 reasons. One, the evidence given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
And how? As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony in the whole case.
And 2, the fact that this woman described the stabbing by saying she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Now, let's talk about that woman for a minute. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the window and that she could look out whilst lying down and she could see directly into the boy's window across the tracks. She tossed and turned for almost over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned towards the window and at about 10 minutes after 12. And as she looked out, she saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. She says that the lights went out immediately after the killing, but that she got a good look at the boy in his act of stabbing the father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
Juror 8, what do you think? How about you? Juror 12?
Well, I don't know. There's so much evidence to sift. This is a pretty complicated business.
I mean, frankly, I don't see how we can vote for acquittal.
Well, it's not so easy to arrange the evidence in order.
You could throw out all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
Well, maybe...
Let's vote on it.
Okay, there's another vote called for. Anybody object?
I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
Anyone else? That's 8-4.
What makes you consider this one vote a personal triumph?
I'm the competitive type. Okay, now here's what I think. I think we're a hung jury. Let's take it inside to the judge.
Sorry, you didn't want a hung jury.
Well,
before.
now I want it.
Well, I don't understand. You thought it was immoral to...
I don't anymore. There are people in here who are so goddamn stubborn that they can't even... We'll never get this thing done. We'll be here for a week. Well, I want to hear your arguments. I say we're a hung jury. Come on, number 8. You're the leader of the case. What
Let's
about
go over it again.
Oh, we went over it again. Number 12 over there's bouncing around like a tennis ball.
Wait a second. You have no right to...
Oh, I'm apologising on my knees. Come on, let's get out from under this thing.
All right. Maybe we can talk about setting some kind of time limit, if you get what I mean. The time is...
6:15.
Yep, 6:15. Someone mentioned before 7 o'clock. I think that's the point at which we might begin to discuss the question of whether we're a hung jury or not.
Don't you feel well during number 4?
I feel perfectly well, thank you. I was saying that 7 o'clock would be a reasonable time to.
The reason I asked about that was because you were rubbing your nose like. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you made that gesture and it reminded me.
I'm trying to settle something here. Do you mind?
I think this is important.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll pardon me for this, but I was wondering why you rubbing your nose like that.
Oh, come on now, will you, please?
Right now, I happen to be talking to this gentleman here. Now, why were you rubbing your nose like?
Oh, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
I'm sorry, is that because of your eyeglasses?
Yes, it is. Now, could we get on to something else, please?
Your eyeglasses made those deep impressions inside of your nose. I hadn't noticed that before. They must be annoying.
They're very annoying.
I wouldn't know about that. I've never worn eyeglasses.
Listen, will you come on already with the optometrist bit?
The woman who testified that she saw the killing had those same deep impressions on the sides of her nose.
That's right, she did.
That's right.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Please, just a minute, and then I'll be finished. I don't know if anyone else noticed that about her. I didn't think about it then, but I've been going over her face in my mind. She had those marks. She kept rubbing them in court.
No, he's right. She did do it a lot.
This woman was about 45 years old. She was making a tremendous effort to look 35 for her first performance. Heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a younger woman. No eyeglasses. See if you can get that mental picture of her.
What do you mean, no glasses? You don't know if she wore glasses, just she was rubbing her nose.
She had those marks. I saw them.
Oh, so what? What do you think that means?
No, listen, I saw him too. He's right. She had these deep things. What do you call them? Oh, you know.
Oh, well, what's the point you're making here?
Well, she had those marks.
She had dyed hair and marks on her nose. I'm asking you, what does that mean?
Could those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they couldn't.
This is number 4. What are you saying here? I didn't see any marks.
Well, you see, I did. Strange, but I didn't really think about it before.
Well, what about the lawyer? Why didn't he say anything?
There are 12 people in here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either.
All right, Clarence Darrow. Then what about the district attorney? You think he'd try and pull a trick like that? Have her testify without glasses?
Did you ever see a woman who had to wear glasses and didn't want to because she thinks they'd spoil her looks?
Oh, my wife. Listen, I'm telling you, as soon as we walk out the house.
Maybe the district attorney didn't know either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay. She had marks on her nose, I'll give you that. From glasses, right? She never wore them out of the house, so people think she was gorgeous. But when she saw the kid with his father, she was in the house, alone. That's all.
Juror 4, do you wear eyeglasses when you go to bed?
No, I don't. No one does.
It's logical to say that she wasn't wearing them while she was in bed, tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep.
Well, how do you know?
I don't know, I'm guessing. But I'm also guessing that she probably didn't put her eyeglasses on when she turned and looked casually out the window.
Okay.
And she herself said that the murder took place just as she looked out, and the lights went off a split second later. She couldn't have had the time to put glasses on then.
Wait.
And here's another guess. Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say that she saw only a blur.
How do you know what she saw? How does he know all these things? You don't know what kind of glasses she wore. She may have been farsighted. She may have worn sunglasses. What do you know about it?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to identify a person 60 feet away in the dark without glasses.
You can't send someone off to die on evidence like
Oh,
that.
don't give me that.
Don't you think that the woman might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible.
No, it's not possible.
Is it possible?
Yes, I say not guilty.
Oh.
Do you still think he's guilty? Juror 10.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think he's guilty, but I couldn't care less. You smart bastards, do whatever you want to do.
How do you vote?
Not guilty. Do whatever you want.
Oh, you're the worst son of a... I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else think he's guilty?
No, I'm convinced.
What's the matter with you?
Well, you see, I now have a reasonable doubt.
Which makes it 11-1.
Oh, well, what about all the other evidence? What about all that stuff? The knife, the whole business.
Oh, you said we could throw out all that other evidence.
You're alone.
I don't care if I'm alone or not. It's my right.
It's your right.
Well, what do you want? I say he's guilty.
We want your arguments.
Oh, I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. Do we have as much time as it takes?
Everything, every single thing that came out of that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. Would you think I'm an idiot or something? You lads went to bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. I could sit in this goddamn room for a year. Somebody say something. Oh, why don't you watch stuff about the old man? The old man, you know, the one who lived there and heard everything? Well, take the knife. What, just because you found one like it? The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it took? What is the difference? Every single thing, the knife falling through his pocket. You can't prove that he didn't get to the door. Sure, you could hobble around the room all you want, but you can't prove it. I'm telling you, every single thing that went on in here has been twisted and turned. That business with the glasses. How do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in court. Well, what do you want? That's it. That's the whole case. That's the whole thing about hearing the boy yell. The phrase, I'm going to kill you. That's what he said to his own father. I don't care about what man he was. It was his father. That goddamn rotten kid. I know what they're like, what they do, how they kill you every day. My God. How come I'm the only one who sees it? Jesus, I can feel the knife going in.
It's not your boy. He's somebody else.
Let him live. Let him live.
All right. Not guilty.
Oh.
Think we're ready.
All right, gentlemen, please disconnect and join the courtroom Zoom meeting. Thank you.
In a bit, guys.